It is a broad question, but I've had to do it a lot, and so I'm trying to think about the sets of circumstances. Unfortunately, we always tend to change when we're in the middle of crises. That's almost always when people go to effectuate change. And I've often found that what I have to do is stop and solve the problem. So I'm not one of those people in the middle of a fire that runs around and goes, oh, there's a fire, there's a fire, there's a fire. It's like, solve the problem. And so I'm probably best in crises. So from a point of view of change, I always think of what is the problem, how do we solve it, but as we need to solve it, how does it have a long-term solution? And so to me, the best approach is to think about change from the point of view that says, can I fix the problem and make long-term effective difference? And then it's making a cultural change. In nonprofit, I find it needs that everybody's got to buy into the mission. That it can't be about a job. It just can't be. It's too hard if it's just about a job. So change comes from everybody buying into the notion of what it is that you want to accomplish. And it could be little things. I'm going to be the best street sweeper out of everybody in the land. And everybody understanding that there's value in the best street sweeper. That, to me, is what causes us to get to a certain kind of change. It's a mindset more than... And then the mindset will drive everything else. The processes, the procedures, etc. Well, because almost every time I've actually had to go into an organization or an entity, it's been in the middle of a crisis or on the brink of something where it's got really hard challenges in front of it. I keep thinking it must not be that I'm supposed to just walk into something where everything is smooth. So identifying what the problems are becomes really key and critical. And so when you ask the question, how do you effectuate change, it has a lot to do with where you come into what it is you're trying to change. It's much easier to change when you come in it at the beginning, when you come into it fresh and everything else is already there. Because you can kind of come in, the almighty, the all-powerful, the soothsayer, I've got it, we'll do it this way. And everybody wants to please. So change is different. When you've been in it, where you've now, instead of it being your first year and you've now been there 5 years, but you've got to make some changes. Change is difficult. People have gotten used to you, they've gotten used to your habit. You're now trying to change a culture that maybe even you built. Now you have to stop and pinpoint, what are my issues today? And I think change at that point is not about what's wrong, but now let's look at what we can improve on everything that we've already done. And so change becomes, how can you do it without people thinking you're putting down what they did in the past, including if it means you've got to change personnel. Yeah, assessing whether the people you have the right skills for where you need to go. And that includes self-assessment. For where this institution or entity is at this moment, am I still the right person for it? And given the challenges ahead, am I up for meeting them? Do I feel like doing it? Those are like, so change is constantly a reassessing, but not from a negative point of view, just from a point of view of, ooh, well, if I do this, then I'll have this. And that keeps it exciting. I'm not a good routine person. It just became routine. Then I'm bored and nothing's stimulating me. So I think, for me, change has a lot to do with constantly looking at how you can make a better performance, a better improvement, a better experience. It's very, very hard, and that one's harder because you're in it, especially if someone says, you need to change your board. Well, that's easier said than done, because you may know you need to change your board, but if the culture of your board needs to change, and you need to bring in a different kind of group of people, you've got to have somebody sitting in there that represents or matches the group of people you want to bring in. Otherwise, the group of people coming in looks at it and goes, this looks chaotic, I don't want to be here. But if you're new when you make the change, people will follow you. So it really has, it's like evolution. rather than thinking of changes, what's the evolution of where you are as an organization, as a leader, with your staff resources, with your money, the market, everything around you impacts how you can make a change at a particular moment. So if today you had been planning, last year we were planning on doing our gala again. Made the decision not to do it because right when our gala would have hit would have been right when everybody declared we're in an economic disaster. And so everybody froze, including that we were afraid that this could turn into a disaster right at that moment. That decision might have been a right one, but it had enormous implications long-term, from a cash flow, from whatever. And we talked about it with our board, but we still didn't necessarily have time to do everything we needed to be prepared for that change, for that adjustment. If it's a short-term change, you can recover. If you make a change that's got long-term implications, you got a whole nother thing. So you have to really understand what cycle are you in when you're getting ready to do something, what are the implications of that cycle, and what are the resources around you to recover from that cycle. Yeah, that's why I think of it as evolution.